Hello, my soccer universe. Well, after this big letdown in the midweek, losing the cup semi-final, I didn't expect much from LASK this round. They get the 1-0 win thanks to an own goal. It was messy in many ways, however, 3 points. My daughters were happy. I only went with my daughters this time around. Although the weather was quite nice for the first time, I didn't go with a jacket and almost paid for that because in the last few minutes I got really cold. There was some cold wind coming in. I did not like the game overall. I'm very honest with that one. However, I just let it go afterwards. If I see then all the complaints afterwards that everything is bad, I also don't agree with that one because I saw at least some green shoots. But you played a rough 120 minutes. You played against an opponent that will try to catch you out because the game meant a whole lot more for GAK than it did for LASK. And yeah, we all know that it needs to be managed still. I think there's still green shoots. I think overall, I don't look negatively for next season. However, this season is more or less lost already. That's the LASK point of view. Maybe you can get into the playoff, and I think this looks good because LASK is at the moment still dominating the qualification round. But over in the championship round, it's really tight now. We have 3 teams within 2 points because, again, a team up there is losing points. Last week it was Sturm Graz, this time it's Austria Vienna, and Salzburg win twice. And now it's the head-to-heads that come up and will decide that whole thing. And Salzburg have yet to lose a game. The only game they lost, the cup quarterfinal against LASK in overtime. So Salzburg look dangerous, and I would actually bet on them, if I were to bet, to win the championship, because both Sturm Graz and Austria Vienna I don't quite trust. It's also interesting how Rapid will recover from 2 defeats so far. I mean, it was against Salzburg and Sturm Graz, so 2 championship candidates, but it's Rapid, and Rapid would expect to get points out of that one as well. So let's review this round and let's put it all into perspective afterwards. Already on Friday evening, we had the big name matchup between Sturm and Rapid, the biggest matchup of the round, easily, at least by name, but not necessarily by the table. It was a must-win for both. Rapid really need to find a footing in this championship round, where Sturm Graz is in a title fight and needed that win as well. And Sturm Graz, of course, were the better team, had a whole lot more of the game, took the lead through Willy Böwing, who just plows through the Rapid defense. I don't want to say he dribbles, because, there's some stumbling there, but he goes past from quite a distance and then puts it into net in the 18th minute. And Sturm had more control of the game in the first half. There was only late on, I think it's Vetkovic header that gave Rapid a chance. Second half, early on, again Sturm Graz. However, crucial moment came when Sidi Jatta for Sturm Graz had to come off injured and Leon Grigic, a young player, had to come on. Rapid then, really with the desperation, is moving forward, trying to get that equalizer. Had the big chance through Auer, who took a perfect shot. However, it was Gregory Wüttrich who heads it off the line, and then there was another one in there. And so it is very late on when after a Hartberg corner, Leon Grigic heads it home, and it's 2-0 for Sturm Graz, and they get the 3 points. Of course, plenty of fireworks whenever there are 2 meeting, and I mean literal fireworks. However, this time the wind blew them off the field, so there were not too many delays. After their good showing against LASK in the last round that was rewarded with 0 points, Altach finally rewarded themselves with a win over Klagenfurt. Their first win against Klagenfurt in the Bundesliga, and it's a double comeback of sorts, because already in the 2nd minute Klagenfurt took the lead through Salifu, great shot from the edge of the box. However, Mustafa, from a very impossible angle, gets the equalizer goal. It did not look good there. Cvetko re-establishes the lead for Klagenfurt in the 29th minute and is equalized by Koller. It was an up and down affair, really entertaining game, and Friedrichs gives Altach the first lead of the afternoon in the 49th. And then the game fell asleep and Altach see it out and earned the 3 points, and paired with other results, they are not last in the table anymore. That dubious honor is now bestowed upon GAK, who lose in Linz 1-0, and in typical GAK fashion, shooting themselves again in the foot. The winning goal coming through an own goal. The game, and this was the lowest attendance figure for LASK this season so far, and I think even in the new stadium, was one that is described as LASK having tons of possession, tons of passing and so on, however barely creating any chances, whereas especially in the first half GAK really caught out LASK in dangerous fashion a few times, and GAK is a team that can do that actually quite well. And so if it would have been 1-0 GAK at the half time, you would not have argued against that. Although, again, the way I felt the game in the stadium, it was, yeah, we have all the possession, it's all going okay, but we have to shore it up on the back. GAK twice hit the post, once from a difficult angle after a corner kick, and once when Tirol cleared the ball on the line, kinda, and then it went onto the post and out. So really lucky, and GAK had two other pretty good chances in there to take the lead. There was only some meager shots on goal from LASK in the first half. In the second half, few changes made, not only on the field but also personnel wise. Schul came on for Christoph Lang, who was a threat, but on the other side, if I'm honest, you really could see that he spent a lot of energy in the cup game in the midweek. And then also Smolcic came off, and it's then Keber Cisse who comes on, and suddenly things looked better. Schul almost immediately had a chance. Then there were a couple of more. LASK now really had control of the game. It seemed like only a matter of minutes that the goal came. But once this momentum fell by the wayside, I really thought this gonna end in a 0-0 draw. I asked my little one next to me, are we gonna see a goal? And she said, yeah, we're gonna see a LASK goal. Yes, we saw a LASK goal. After Ljubic and Adeniran came on, yeah, now two others that you had to save because of the midweek game. The way this goal came, I already said it's an own goal by the Jovicics. I mean, it's a Branko Jovicic cross from LASK in, and then Milos Jovicic wants to head it past the goal, and it goes right into the corner. It was a goal befitting of that game. Right afterwards, Adeniran had a chance to make it 2-0, and I actually had the feeling, if we make that one goal, there might be more coming. However, then GAK really threw everything forward, and LASK could not get control of the game anymore. And it didn't help that Bukhara got sent off for a second yellow card offense. GAK were pressing, and I'm not saying they created many chances, but they were definitely having the upper hand, and the game got too close to the last goal, and then suddenly a penalty is called for GAK in the 92nd minute. At the moment where I thought, yeah, we're gonna see this one out. It was a cross in the Tirol close to the touchline, gets on the chest or the hand, not really clear, and it goes out, and the referee calls a penalty. Fortunately, VAR intervened and said, yeah, it's more chest than hand. He looked at the pictures and took the penalty away. Huge relief on my side. I can see that if you're a GAK fan, that you didn't like that one. Although, if you look at the replay, yeah, I've seen those given, I've seen those not given. I feel it would be too much if the penalty was given for that. But GAK had another chance as well after a corner kick. And by the way, after that VAR intervention, it should have been corner for GAK. However, because it went to VAR, it was then a referee drop out of nowhere. In any case, a corner kick for GAK comes later, and it's Lichtenberger who is free at the edge of the box. He just needs to pick his corner, and it goes wide. So a lot of luck. I was not happy after the game, because I thought after the 1-0 you have to see this out. Yes, you saw it out, and I take the extenuating circumstances into account that yes, you had a rough game. I did not expect the best game from LASK, honestly, especially after that a rough evening on Wednesday, but still a little bit more. But you know, 3 points is 3 points, and I guess I'm happy. And actually my daughter said, this was really exciting. I told her this was an absolute SHIT game. Anything but such a game was VSG Tirol taking on Hartberg, where the sensational cup finalists get a 3-1 win in stoppage time. However, there were only 4 goals. There were also 3 red cards, the record in the season so far. Also in that account, it all went into Hartberg's favor. Drew already in the 10th minute opened the scoring for Hartberg, and then Hartberg had more of the game. Taferna is in addition sent off for a really rough tackle, straight red card, 30th minute. He has to come off. However, Tirol hold on to the 1-0 2-0 deficit, and right after time Kainz gets his second yellow card and is sent off for the first time for Hartberg, and he's the record player for Hartberg. So everything level in terms of players on the field. No, not for long, because Guganik also gets a second yellow card, and it's again advantage Hartberg. Still, Tirol get the equalizer through a beautiful shot by David. He just, in defense, runs forward, no one is bothering him, takes a shot, beautifully flies into the net. And then you have to say Tirol have to see this one out, but again they concede in stoppage time. Very badly defended, no one goes to Omoroge, who can make a cross in. Havel, no one really attacks him well, takes the shot and it goes into net. 92nd minute, and 2 minutes later Diarra adds another one, and so Tirol remain the only winless team in 2024. Salzburg very much put pressure on the top two in the league with another win. This time a workmanlike 2-1 home win over Blau-Weiß Linz. Salzburg just keeping up the pressure, doing what they have to do, have a hard time breaking down Blau-Weiß Linz in the first half. However, Dorjelesnene in the 55th minute opens the scoring, and by doing the 71st minute makes it 2-0. You knew that Salzburg is winning that one on the 20th anniversary of the infamous Red Bull takeover. Credit where credit's due, Blau-Weiß did not give up and actually managed to get back into the game after Pirkli cross. Mitrovic heads it in, and there were some nervy moments, but overall Salzburg deserved to get the 3 points and are now in touching distance to the top two. And that is also in part because Austria Vienna drop points after last week. Sturm Graz dropping points. This time it's Austria Vienna only a 0-0 against Wolfsberg. This was Cup Blues against Cup Euphoria. Austria Vienna, of course, had to play without Dragovic, who got sent off in the Cup for criticizing the referee too harshly. And also, we knew that their dominant player of the season, Dominik Fitz, got his yellow card in the game against Blau-Weiß Linz because he thought, against Wolfsberg, I probably can miss. Austria Vienna had some good chances in the first half, however not much in the second half, where Wolfsberg was a little bit more dominant. But except for each of these teams having one good chance in each half, there was really not much happening, and so it ends in a logically 0-0 draw. Looking at the table, I again want to go bottom first and then top second. The qualification round, LASK is dominating. We have a 5-point cushion. Yes, 5 points sounds like a lot, and there are still 8 games to be played. So yeah, but I think they will win this round, although Hartberg might give them a challenge, especially if Hartberg would win the head-to-head, which is not beyond Hartberg, let's face it. But on the bottom, it's getting now really tight. Even Klagenfurt, who do have a 4-point cushion, could get drawn into it. I mean, it is only 4 points. However, there are 3 other teams. Altach, I really had the feeling they're playing well. They might actually play themselves out of it, and they are very used to surviving in this qualification round. But I think this is more down to their actual good level of play. And so I'm looking at Tirol, a team that I, at the beginning of the season, would have said that they are going down, but then thought they're way too sturdy. But this year, they have not really convinced and hurt themselves by conceding late goals. Game after game after game. On the other side, there's GAK that sit 1 point behind Tirol, who is also a team that has a tendency to shoot themselves in the foot with red cards, own goals. I think they're leading own goals on 5 already this season, and letting go of leads. And I guess it will be between those two. Maybe Altach can get dragged into it, but I said, Altach looks dirty, and maybe it's even Klagenfurt that will get dragged into it, and then there's always the specter of the finances dangling. For the championship round, I mean, if you look at the bottom 3, Blau-Weiß, it's probably a little bit too steep so far. Again, they play against Austria Vienna and Salzburg, 2 teams that you necessarily wouldn't think that they pick up points. Let's see how they will do against, let's say, Wolfsberg or Rapid. Against Rapid, they have won already twice. But then we have Rapid and Wolfsberg, 2 teams that were hopeful to get in the championship. I think after these results, not gonna happen. I think those 2 will not get into the championship fight. And so at the moment it's a 3-way title race. Sturm Graz reclaimed top of the table thanks to goal difference, but Red Bull Salzburg only 2 points behind. And while the calculations only say 16%, I don't quite believe it. Yes, a whole lot will come down to the head-to-head, and Salzburg need to prove it against top opposition, but they have already beaten Austria Vienna away from home. So yeah, it seems to me, unfortunately, that Salzburg will get back to... The upcoming round, which is played from the 11th to the 13th of April, will tell us a whole lot. We have in the qualification round LASK take on Hartberg away from home, so those are the top two down there. I would expect probably a draw getting out of there, but let's see. The other two, of course, are true relegation fodder. GAK need to get something from Altach if they have a chance. They've already beaten them away from home, the first game of the year. And Tirol also need to get something from Klagenfurt. I expect those to be really tense games. Actually, we have two top games. We have Salzburg and Sturm Graz. This is the nominal top game. This really will tell us a whole lot, and I could well see Salzburg beating Sturm Graz there, especially the way the Sturm Graz do not seem solid. And then we have the little matter of the Vienna derby, this time no Austria fans allowed, so that could also play into the cards, and it's not inconceivable that Salzburg will be top of the table after that round, but you know, let's see. It's just something that I'm fearing. So there you go. These are my thoughts. By the way, I'm wearing the championship jersey from LASK. You see the 65 right here. I unpacked it. If you've seen that unpacking video, it's kind of a little bit tighter fit than I would like to have. And yes, it still gives me Juve vibes, but it's also a classic LASK jersey. And I was wearing that already yesterday in the stadium. So there you go. I have not really unpacked it. I put it back into the box. Any case, I'm not so negative on LASK as many in the fan base, and I actually think that what has been shown so far this year under Markus Schopp, it seems that things are starting to work. They're not yet convincing, and let's get this season over with. Probably it's not even bad if you're not getting into Europe, although this would be, of course, the goal, and because European nights are the best, and this is what LASK really would like to have. So that's where I'm standing, and I think they still can achieve that, but maybe, from what I see, there are the building blocks there to probably have a really good season next year, where again, he will not win a title, most likely. I'm actually excited about the title race, not really having a dog in that fight, but it is exciting because 3 teams within 2 points, that's exactly what you want to see. That's why we have this rather odd format, and also on the bottom, it's probably a 4-way race at this moment. And again, we will know about who will get the license and not, and that will also play into the whole thing. Drop a line if you have any thoughts or questions below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you soon about more things in my Austrian Bundesliga universe. Bye! Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!